Good evening and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Ulysses Town Board. It is February 11th, 2025, and I will call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. May I have a roll call?
Sure. Ms.
Present.
Ms. Olson,
Present.
Mr. Boggs.
Present.
Thank you.
Mr. Goldman is excused and Ms. Weatherby will be joining us probably, I think, in about 30 to 45 minutes. It is the Twinkle concert for the fifth graders and her son plays trumpet. So she is going to be enduring, case may be, what is truly an amazing thing, the Twinkle concert. So for those who don't know, that's when the first band performance for the fifth graders after they pick up an instrument. So yeah, pretty good time. So we have a meeting agenda that was posted. I do have a couple of alterations. I'm hoping the board will approve in terms of items. I'd like to pull the item of alternate to the Three Falls LDC. And that's item old business 7D. That may be coming back at a future one, but we're still getting legal guidance in order to establish an alternate position from the Three Falls LDC attorney. So not quite ready to move on that one. And then under item 8, new business, I would like to add item C, which is I would like it to be the 2025 Tompkins County Soil and Water Contract. It was actually posted and I failed to add it to the agenda. Does anybody else have any alterations or amendments to the agenda as otherwise amended? Not
No.
accept a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Sure. Second.
Yeah, I guess it's us, huh?
You guys are getting safe right there.
Pressure's on.
Exactly. In favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay, that brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is privilege of the floor. Any member of the public who wishes to speak can have up to 3 minutes. I go back and forth. And sorry, I'm getting my timer ready. I go back and forth in person and then remotely. If you are here to speak about the local law, the resolution approving a local law for tax exemptions for seniors, disabled, and veterans, we were going to have a separate public hearing on that. So you're welcome to speak in both of those if you're talking about the public hearing resolution. But if you have anything else you want to address the town board on, feel free to speak in this section. Is there anybody in person who wishes to address the town board tonight? Okay. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Okay, we do have a second privilege of the floor at the end of our meeting. So anybody who wants to address us then, final call, anybody online or in person who wishes to address us now? Okay, then we shall move on. The next item up is a public hearing on a resolution approving local law number 1 of 2025. This is on the tax exemptions for seniors, disabled, and veterans. And so what this means is that New York State allowed the county to increase the value of allowed the county to increase the amount a household can make in order to qualify for these existing exemptions. We already have the town already participates in exemptions for seniors, for veterans, and disabled citizens. And what this allows is us to increase how much a household can make. And these apply to everybody who lives in the household, not just the property owner. We've talked to the tax assessor. This will have very minor impact on the overall tax base, but could have an impact for property owners who qualify for it. So we will have a public hearing on that. So I'll accept a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody in the public who is attending in person who wishes to address us on this matter? Okie dokie. Is there anybody online who wishes to address us on this matter? Oh, I see legislator Corman, sorry, it was. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I know at the county when we changed the income requirements a couple of months ago, we had looked at the various municipalities around the county, and some adopted ones we had already set and some hadn't. But I just want to say I'm really glad to see, the town looking at this, because as you said, it could make a significant difference for some folks who might need it the most. So thank you for looking at this tonight.
Thank you. And if I recall correctly, it's been like nearly 2 decades since we've been able to increase it. So.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the town board? And either in person or remote? I'm gonna ask one more time, just so I make sure that everybody hadn't wanted to speak has an opportunity to. So final call, is there anybody else who wishes to address the town board on this subject? Okay, then I'd accept a motion to close the public hearing.
So
Oh, wait a
moved.
minute, oh, I'm sorry,
Oh.
what, oh, sorry, did we have any other public comment? I'm so sorry, I forgot to turn to Carissa.
We did receive one comment via email that was sent to all of the board members, and it was a comment in favor of passing this law.
Okay.
And it'll be included in the minutes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That brings us to Scott with a DPW update. You were supposed to be here last, what,
Yeah,
2 weeks ago, and then we got bad weather, so.
we did. We've had a lot of bad weather. So the first thing I wanted to talk to the board about was Iredell Road. I don't know how familiar you are with Iredell Road, but I'll pass out a couple of these things to you. So Iredell Road that we're talking about, that's owned by the town, is between Waterberg Road and Buck Hill Road, or it used to be Town Line Road, I think, but I think it's Buck Hill Road now. That portion of that road, we border townships with us and Enfield. And this is before me, way before me. But at some point, there must have been a handshake deal between Enfield and Ulysses that we take care of the road and take care of everything. So I asked the question to the town of Enfield if they would be willing to share the responsibilities, and basically, I don't know, the superintendent didn't really want to work with me, so I went to Caitlin, and we have talked to the lawyer about it. So what we want to do is mainly in New York State, any border road, you have to have like an agreement with both towns, and it should be filed with the town clerk, and we don't have any of that. So
The border's in the center.
it borders in the center of the road. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's going on and that it's still going on. But my goal is to get that split so that we share services on that road.
Would you mind explaining the CHIPS component? Because
Yeah, right now, like the CHIPS, we get money back from New York State to put into roads, the CHIPS program. I'm sure you're familiar with it, Michael, so I think you are too, but so you get a portion of, it's not per road though, it's like, it's all the roads combined, you get a certain percentage of money. So we get all of it for Iredell Road, but it doesn't, that doesn't matter. It's because it's very little money for that particular road.
it's about a mile, right?
It's not a big deal, but what we're gonna do is if we split it, we'll just split the CHIPS money. I mean, that's pretty much it. Is that what you're?
Yeah. So for the CHIPS portion, there can only be one basically entity claiming each road. So they're to avoid double dipping. So we are the lead on claiming the money, but it makes sense to,
Yeah, if we
if
split
we're
it.
gonna split responsibilities, then we need to split the money associated with 1 mile of roadway.
So basically, this all happened because a town of Enfield resident called me and wanted their driveway pipe replaced. And that's when it all like, wait a minute, I don't think we should be doing this. So that's where it all came about, basically.
And they were on the Enfield side.
Yeah, they're on the Enfield.
His buddy is still the highway superintendent.
Yeah. Again, this is way before me. So it was like, there's nothing in writing. We looked everywhere, so. So that's one of my things I want to talk about. I don't know if anybody you have any questions about that or anything? No, all right.
Did you guys work out the driveway pipe?
No, it's still not it's still not done. So that's the only issue, yeah, so.
So
But
that- but
it wasn't bad. It's not that bad. So we looked at it and Buddy doesn't want to do it either. So,
Huh.
Here we are.
was to be continued then?
Yeah, pretty much. So the next thing was the speed study. I wasn't here last week, or not last week, the last meeting, and somebody, Miss Hexter, about the Gorge Road, on the Black Diamond Trail crossings. They wanted to have a speed study on that. Here's another.
Map?
Yeah, another map.
You always break them.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have enough for you guys. So if you look at the map. First, I'll just say the highlight in the pink there, that is 35 miles an hour already. That's the Park Road that goes down past the overlook and stuff. And then all that's in yellow is what's being proposed to go down to 35.
Which is what?
So so you got Teganic Park Road, which is near
55.
Falls Road, near Caitlin's house. And then you got the big curve right there. And then you start going up the hill towards Gorge Road. And then Gorge Road's also highlighted. And
Those
then
are
all the way
current-
past
Currently
Agar.
55.
All that's 55.
Oh.
That's everything that's not, or everything that's highlighted in yellow is 55 right now.
Okay.
There are caution signs around here. I mean, the yellow signs to lower your speed limit, because if you, I've had somebody end up in my front yard who took that curve way too fast.
So the
No,
So-
like not posted right now, right?
there's nothing posted.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so. So what I did was I reached out to New York State Parks and asked them what they thought. And asked them if, they had any issues, and they actually agreed with this. So Fred Bond, through the New York State, is gonna write a letter of support. And I'm pretty sure that this will go through. I don't think it's gonna have any problems going through, but I just wanted to let you guys know where we're at with this, and that I do approve this as far as this one goes, as far as this particular thing that we're talking about. But there's another one that she turned into that was for the crossings. The Black Diamond.
The Black Diamond Trail.
So there's a whole bunch of roads that have the crossings, Gorge Road,
Scott.
Craft,
Yeah,
Agar.
more
Oops.
benefits.
Little
Oh,
free-
yes.
Yeah.
Perry City Road, Glenwood Heights, there's a whole bunch of them. If you've been on the Black Diamond Trail, you know what I'm talking about. I don't. You guys can make a decision if you wanted to do a speed study or not on this, but I would recommend that we don't, because when I first took the job, when I first got elected, let's say that, I did go to all the head trails or the trailheads, and I did widen, parking.
Right.
I did some really good work on Glenwood Heights Road. I mean, there's a lot of parking on that section. So I don't think the parking is an issue on the trailheads. But the problem is that, like, the county and myself, we went down through and we redid some of them roads, so there's no crosswalks now. So what I'm thinking is that we can, you know, we
Since they
can,
were oil and stone, do you mean?
yeah, we oiled and stone, and then I think Perry City Road was paved as a
Yeah,
county,
okay.
so. So what I'm thinking is if we work with the New York State Parks again, if they can put the crosswalks in, we can maybe. I think Caitlin, you're the one that suggested to put lights on the crosswalk. You know, if somebody like in major areas like Perry City Road, they can hit that and like lights, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's lots of things that we can do, I think, to help that situation as far as the trailheads go, but I don't think that we need to turn it in for a speed study. I mean, but the other one, yes. But
Yeah.
this,
So which one? Sorry.
yeah,
But this one is-
Okay, yellow.
yeah.
Okay.
The roads, it's those roads there, we can do, I would suggest doing a speed study, but the Black Diamond Trail heads. Which is the other one she turned in, I think we can just. We can see what we can do first, and if that helps, great, if it does. We can go back to the drawing board.
Right, so I talked to legal, and the town does have in its purview a variety of traffic calming. Things that we can do, including signage, including crosswalks, including better lighting, and even stop signs. And so the problem with those speed studies is that it takes at least 18 months. New York State picks when they do the speed studies. So they did one of the speed studies most recently in December that does not give you helpful information if you're concerned about pedestrians. And so I think that working directly with Tompkins County on county roads and within the town, obviously on town roads, and with parks in terms of integrating more safety features that we can use to traffic calming around there, I think is honestly going to be more effective and could be planned out in such a way that has a better impact. I don't want to tell people just to, well, we'll see what happens 18 months from now, because we did the one for Falls Road, my road, it went from 55 to 50.
Yeah.
Is that having any impact? Probably not. Rabbit Run got dropped by 10 miles after 18 months, and Krebs Corners was denied a change at all. So it's a real mixed bag if we just exclusively rely on
Mhm.
New York State DOT. And I think I appreciate you talking to Parks, because I think having a letter from the state parks regional director would
Will help.
hopefully persuade DOT to.
I think it will.
Do you know Jean?
Do I know who?
Jean Dexter? She lives in Jackson.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think if you keep in touch with her, let you
Yeah,
know what you're doing.
I'll let her know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll go a long way.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we should try this first and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
There's
Think
only
that's a
really
good
a
idea.
couple bad, like blind spots, like, well. When you're on the Black Diamond Trail, like Craft Road's not very visible. You can't really see cars coming and they can't see you until you're right there. Perry City, people just fly down
Yeah.
down that road.
Right.
Even Glenwood Heights Road to an extent. That's probably after the town though.
No,
No, that's in the town.
that's in the town.
Yes. Yeah.
So not all the spots, like some places are easy. You have plenty of
Yeah, I
time to
mean,
see cars coming.
Willow
they-
Creek and Garrett, there's
Right,
not a lot of traffic and.
Anything you can do for traffic calming. I mean, we're not gonna be able to do like the crosswalks in the city where you press the button because people aren't gonna
Yeah,
out
I don't know.
necessarily and wait
Yeah,
either on your bike or.
I think
you're riding.
crosswalks
Yeah.
first
Yep.
should be put down.
And then if there's
um,
anything other calming, I think that would.
Yeah.
Make it a little safer.
So my plan is to bring the resolution for the traffic speed reductions to the next town board meeting. But Scott, I wonder if, and it doesn't have to be in parallel with that, but given that there is that new paid parking lot that's gonna be coming and people may absolutely
yeah.
want to save money by parking on the roadway, would you mind reviewing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
For where posted no parking should be?
Mhm. Yeah, and then I think that there's no parking there now on Jacksonville Road. You know, like, I think between Gorge Road and your house, I think that there might be signs there now for the county. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
People park
But I'll
all
look
the
at that
time,
too.
So. I never park there,
Oh.
so I don't pay attention as closely perhaps as I should to that. I didn't see no parking signs, but I think they're gonna be worried, particularly on Gorge Road.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because it's going from free to paid, right?
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
on Jacksonville Road. I think,
the new parking lot, because
Yeah.
there's the old parking lot on Jacksonville Road is being turned into a pollinator garden. And so the
Oh.
parking,
Was going.
yeah,
is that
there's,
you're doing, Yuri?
What?
Is that you're doing?
No,
Oh, okay, just checking.
first I heard it.
well,
It's probably the state park is doing it, right?
Yeah. yeah, it's part of their whole project. So that's gonna become a pollinator garden and then the parking lot will be accessed on Gorge Road, just off of the Black Diamond Trail.
It's gonna be massive.
80 cars and
Yeah.
year-round
80 cars.
opportunities.
The building is up.
Buildings
Like
up,
the
the parking lot,
work is up.
and they're
It's something.
on Jacksonville Road, you can see all the construction equipment, and that's actually the staging for the pedestrian bridge, the trestles being done,
Well.
so.
check it out.
Yeah, so I just one other thing I have is, there's probably some rumors going around about salt shortages. I'm sure that there's been some articles and stuff. The rumor's true. So American Rock Salt, which is in Canandaigua, they're behind. So Cargill here's that's who we go through is Cargill. They're helping American Rock Salt, so that puts everybody else like us behind. So normally, like when I order salt, I get it within 2 days. Even if it's a 500-ton order, I'll get it in 2 days. Now it's like 2 weeks. So it drags out. It takes a long time to get salt. And in the way that the weather's been, where we have to go out every day, with the temperatures and everything else, we we do have salt shortage, but I don't want anybody in the town to worry about it because so what we're doing now is we're going up to Seneca Stone, we're buying 1Bs, we're mixing the salt, we're trying to make it last longer. 1Bs is basically sand. The mixture is not like, you're not gonna see a whole bunch of sand on the roads now. But it is gonna make the salt last longer. So I don't want anybody to worry about that. You're still gonna get the excellent service that my crew does. So don't worry about that. And hopefully things will get back to normal, but like maybe winter will just end. That'd be nice.
Just jinx this.
It's not gonna end this week.
Any word on next year? Because I heard Cargill lost the state contract for next year.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. I haven't heard
You know who
anything
won
like
it?
that. I haven't heard any of that. There's only two, and there's American and Cargill for New York State around here, so.
Okay.
I don't know what's gonna happen next year. Maybe we'll throw like wood chips down or something.
Everybody has to dig out their salt bags, salt shakers.
But yeah, it's not, don't worry about it. Everything's fine with us. We'll be fine, so. Letting you guys know.
Thank you for the update.
That's all I got.
Any other questions for Scott?
We
Is
can-
there any coordination, like, is the village good on supplies, like, if we needed it? I'm sure you.
Yeah, I mean, I work with the village a lot. The problem with the village is they don't have a lot of storage. And the school uses the salt, so. They are aware of it. They have talked to the school about cutting back on salt usage somehow or another, probably mixing, I would assume. But. Yeah, I mean, so all the little contractors like KJ and all them, they can't go to Cargill or American and, they're shut right off, so. So if you go to Agway or Sure Safe to look for salt, it's probably gone. It's probably all the little contractors bought them.
As the storm comes in this weekend.
There'll be too much snow to worry about salts. Right, they don't need it.
Time to work remote.
Wow. Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you for that
Thanks.
update. It's always good to hear what's shaking in your department. So. Well, you are welcome to stay. We've got some items that definitely touch upon you.
Stay a little longer.
What I'd like to do is if the board is amenable, I'd like to, wrap up, announcements. And then I suspect I know what multiple or large percentage of the population in this room is interested in particular, and I would suggest moving those items up. And that would be a suggestion to move, the 7, old business item F up, as well as consider bringing up, new business item A up as well. But we can get to that. Let's move on to municipal, board and staff reports. Does any town board members have any, announcements or updates they'd like to give tonight? And then actually, I'll move to Legislator Corman, who's here first. Sorry, guys, cutting you off first. Sorry, Legislator Corman.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. I just very short, just a couple of things tonight. We have a new communications director, Monica Salvage. So you'll probably be hearing from her very soon. And let's see, we had, as you know, some officers come in from ICE. If you're not hearing a lot from the county on that, please know it is a concern of ours. And but we also don't want to draw a lot more attention to the county at this point, which is what folks that are most at risk are telling us is they would prefer the lack of messaging be, so to speak. And we are also looking at what departments and what programs get federal funding and what programs could be at risk. And then the next step would be, of course, what we might do. But I know there's lots of talk about freezing funds coming from the federal government. So we are looking at that to try and be as prepared as we can be, but hope for the best. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Legislator Corman? Okay, thanks, Ann. Any board updates, please? Is there anything anybody wants to update on their committees and activities? Particular?
We have water source protection, but I'd like to defer to Roxanne. If that is possible, or Linda.
Both stuff. So we met last night and we're getting really close to having a really good first draft of the plan itself. So I'm starting to talk about delivering it to the DEC and to the town board. So we're working on that. In addition to that, our other activity is scheduling a program in May. And I hope you also asked for a quick and dirty poll to find out when it's the optimal time to try to pull folks together. So don't know what the responses are. We'll see.
Is that gonna run again this week?
Yeah, it's running till March 1st.
Nice, wonderful.
So
Excellent.
make sure you let us know. Everybody here.
Well, the program.
The program, yeah,
Is
right,
on
that's true.
septic and
Well,
maintenance and
yeah.
testing and so that's what it's about. And there's a link on the town's website. When Krista puts out the e-newsletter every week that to the little survey, if you're interested in coming, we're trying to find the best time. New York State Department of Health folks are going to come. And New York Rural Water folks are coming in. Our cap solutions folks for septic. Should be good. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right. Roxanne, while you're talking, do you want to do an CSAC update?
No, we have another meeting tomorrow. The last meeting was for the DEC comments on the cargo permit application, and set our meeting times for the rest of the year. Friday and decide on the date for the Earth Care Day and everything that we can. More to come next time.
Sounds good. LDC, the Three Falls LDC meeting that was supposed to be last Thursday was canceled due to bad weather. It's been rescheduled for this week. We had a commission meeting last week where we're ongoing discussing service provisions and we do have a job posting open still. Anything else from that meeting that you wanted to?
Now we're heading into the busy season for baseball, softball, track, for spring sports, and then just a heads up, summer registration for camp for those who are eligible age-wise will open up March 15th. And
And
8 AM, I believe.
And something new this year is that we are offering a counselor and training program. It's for 7th and 8th graders from 9 to 12. There'll be 2 sessions. I'm sorry, there'll be 3 sessions, each 2 weeks long. And that will end at noon. And then independently from that, the town is attempting to stand up somebody who could actually, if there's desire, to actually accompany youth to like the swim bus option, because all of our older campers actually go, when they go to Taganic, they go on the public bus and it's free. And if we can stand up supervision for that, it would increase maybe to a full day for those youth who are interested. And all of our youth, the camp, there is a fee for the camp for the 7th and 8th graders, but all of our other youth services programming is free for that age group. Okay, anything else? Krista, how's tax season going? Or wrapping up?
Mostly over, the bulk of payments are, most people pay in January to avoid a penalty. So it's gotten a lot slower. Most people are very friendly. Of course, a few people are not happy about having to pay taxes, and you know, we try to be compassionate and understand that they're not just being grumpy. It's really difficult for some people. So, yeah, it's nice. We get to see a lot of people that we only see, you know, at that time of the year, and they pay their bill and say, see you next year. And I think more people are paying online now since we have that option. You can either pay by credit card or e-check. E-check is cheaper. It's only like a couple of dollars, but credit card is a percentage of the total of your bill, so that adds up. But some people like to do it for the airline miles or whatever points that they get. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just on the comp plan steering committee, we had a meeting last Wednesday. We'll have another meeting the first week of March, first Wednesday of March. But there'll be some updates coming in mid to late March. We're looking at our first public informational session where the community can come, and we'll probably meet up at the fire hall or the school. We're still looking to try to figure out where it's gonna be, but we'd love for the community to come and provide their input onto some vision statements that we're looking at and considering. And just get some thoughts and considerations for the comp plan going forward. There's also a survey that is in Kirsty's email every Friday. So I encourage folks to fill out that survey. We really want to know what people are looking at for the town in 20 years. So we have 200 people who have completed, no, 40 people who have completed the survey, and we're hoping for 1,000. So we have a while to go. So please fill it out.
Anything else? Updates?
They wanted to mention also, they wanted to do another vision. Schedule another vision.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna do, so we had the first visioning session, you were there, Mary Colvin, with the town board. After we meet with the community, that March 19th, 20th date, probably in early April, we're gonna want to see if the town board can come back and we can take what the public input was and see if we can nail down a vision for the comp plan. So I can just be in touch with you guys, and Chris, I'll let you know too, just to mention that you're there as well.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, is the board amenable to moving to item F of old new business? Of old business, not old new business, old business, item
Yes.
F.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, would you mind pulling that up? While Chris is doing that, she's gonna be putting up a PowerPoint. You may want to turn your chairs to actually get to see it. Although I'll be walking through, everybody online will make sure you can see it. I apologize, our chairs are not the lightest. They're very sturdy. Okay. Okay, so. This is gonna be a presentation that, is on what I would characterize as an incredibly generous offer by two local property owners who are in this room right now, Marvin and Allison Fritz, for an offer to the public, of some acreage that, they currently own. To overview how we got to this point, in late 2023, the town was approached, by the Pritz, who expressed interest in exploring the possibility of a donation to the land, donation of land to the town for a parks and recreation purpose. If accepted by the town board, this donation would create what we believe to be the first publicly owned recreational park in the town's history, and we date back to 1794. In July 2024, July 9th, actually, the town board authorized the preparation of a survey to determine if the land was suitable to accept. And so that was really the first formal step the town board took to really investigate this process. That survey was completed in late 2024, and it is now February 2025, and we are presenting it. So as a, next slide, please. I realize that when I click my slide, it doesn't change it up there because I don't have the master computer. So sorry about that, Krista. New York State Town Law, which is a confusing name, but it's the laws collectively created by New York State that govern town operations. So New York State Town Law, there's a particular section, and it pertains to the portion of the law 64, general powers of town boards, subsection 8. And towns do have the ability to accept by gift, grant, bequest, or devise and hold real and personal property absolutely or in trust for parks or gardens, or for the erection of statues, monuments, buildings, or structures, or for any other public use. So we have investigated it from a legal standpoint. The town is capable of accepting a donation for the purposes that the Pritz indicated. Next slide, please. So the proposed donation involves 15.234 acres of land. And this would be part of land that is currently part of a property whose main address is 5150 Cold Springs Road. And this is just a portion of that property. The majority of the land being proposed for the donation is in the town's agricultural district. Or agricultural zone, and the proposed driveway or to access the Cold Springs Road that would connect this parcel, if it was subdivided and donated, is predominantly in the town's residential zone. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is a view of the potential donated parcel. Whoops, sorry. This is a view of our screensaver. There we go. This is a view of the parcel in question from the eastern edge looking northwest. I'm going to go through these quickly. I know that you are not going to have enough time to review in this. This presentation will be posted on the website. There'll be other ways to access it, as well as the recording of this meeting. This is a view of the eastern edge looking southwards towards Cold Springs Road. This is a view of the eastern edge looking eastwards. And actually this is, yes, that's correct, sorry. And this is a view, the next one is a view of the eastern edge looking northwards. And this is the entire existing parcel, the parent parcel, where the majority of the land would come from. Next slide, please. The second parcel, the Pritz own a second parcel, a second residential parcel, and that's highlighted in yellow. The driveway that would be required, the flag pole of the flag lot would go through this particular parcel and be subdivided in the process. I'll show you that. Next slide, please. This is a rough, in yellow is a rough approximation it's a rough approximation of the amount of land. Just for purposes of this, you can see actually where the flagpole of the flag lot would run through that additional property. So this is reflecting two different parcels where the land would come from. When I say two different parcels, these are two different tax parcels. Next slide, please. This is an aerial of the field that is being proposed for donation in its current form. Next slide, please. And this is a very small version of a document I will pass out. And I have copies for the public as well, although I don't know if I have enough copies for the public.
Did you get to there?
Okay. So what's outlined on the screen is the outline of the line created by the surveyor that would reflect the proposed subdivision. This subdivision and driveway, and there is no driveway here. So when I say driveway, I mean, this is what would give the property access from the roadway to the interior of the property. The red on the screen was added by me to highlight the actual proposed boundaries. The portion in question, the northern portion of the existing parcel does include the southbound side of Halsey Creek. The proposed donation does not include any of the creek lands area. Thank you. So I think a lot of this came out of a lot of the public attention that was raised during the park referendum in the fall of 2023. And there was a lot of community conversation. There was a lot of community dialogue, and we ultimately had a public vote. And the public was not in favor at that point of purchasing acreage using public funding. And I heard a lot from people that they weren't opposed to parks. They just didn't like the park in that proposed location, and they didn't like other things related to it. And so I take and I think the board does too, takes public comment very seriously, public feedback very seriously. So when this was proposed, it was a question of when this was first approached to me, the question that I think that the town will ultimately have to decide is whether this particular parcel is an appropriate appropriate to accept it based on concerns previously raised. So I'd like to walk through those. Issues raised included using public money to purchase land, proposed impacts to the water table and or private wells in the process of creating recreational land, because grass needs water. Most of the grass does not need to be watered on a consistent basis for anything other than nature at the school, for instance, but it certainly water is necessary in order to create fields in the first place. There was concerns on the referendum regarding the location of the proposed park in proximity to the village or other denser residential areas. There was concern about the slope of the land. There was concern raised about the planning process to determine the use of the land, the cost to develop the land for recreational usages, and lighting. Next slide, please. So the question becomes, how could this particular property address these previous concerns? First up, using public money to purchase land. Charitable donation, this would be a charitable donation, not a sale by the property owner to the town. And the cost to the town in this case would be limited to the legal and real property transfer costs that are part of any other legal real property transfer. Impact of the water table and private wells. This property and Cold Springs is on a public water line. So in the future, if the property needed water, the most appropriate thing is to tap into public water systems. And so because the property owners along this stretch of road are not dependent on wells, and because this property could be connected to public water, that seriously limits the risk. Can we go back, please? Sorry. Seriously limits the risk of adversely impacting a private property owner's private well. The location of the proposed park in proximity to village and residential areas. Cold Springs Road is in, at least most of it, is in the residential zone, and this is an area characterized by denser housing. The donation is in both the residential zone on the street part and the agricultural zone primarily, because it is a field behind the residential section. Now, this is the part that I am so excited about personally. The land is approximately 30 yards from the start of a former rail line that is owned by New York State. The state land connects directly with the Trumansburg Central School District within the village of Trumansburg. The land itself, if not connected by that space, it's approximately 2 miles from the village of Trumansburg by road and about 1.8 miles to the Jacksonville Hamlet and 1.3 miles to the Waterburg Hamlet. So if connected by trail, and I will show you what this looks like, the land, this potential donation would be only 0.8 miles from the village. Now, next slide, please. So this is a map pulled from the zoning map. This is the town zoning map. And later, we're going to be talking about DD3, which is Development District 3, but not in this section. And so this map shows the red star is the Trumansburg Central School District property. And the blue star is the proposed land for donation. And then there's a red line with an arrow showing the land that's currently owned by New York State and where it's located. Thank you, Carissa, in comparison to both the school property and to the proposed donated land. Next slide, please. So this is the same map, but from an aerial perspective. And I have been told immediately, not immediately, but in the process of getting ready for this presentation, I did start a dialogue with New York State, who is interested in talking about a development of a trail. And because this is, when we say we believe it's a former spur, it was basically a parking area for train cars. So it was never connected as a route that we know of, but it is a former rail line connected to that's linked to known uses of, we assume, the Black Diamond. And so when I reached out in a casual way to New York State Parks to initiate a conversation, they knew they had this property. And it seemed well within the realm of possibility to them to work with the town to develop a trail system. That's obviously something that would take many years, most likely, would take a lot of money. But the fact that the property is already owned by New York State, and the fact that the property that is between the edge of the state property and the edge of the proposed donation, the property owners, there are two sets of property owners, and both are amenable to conversations about that as well. In terms of easements or whatever access is needed. Okay, slope of the land. Concerns on the previous one were, you know, too steep was a concern on the previous park land consideration. In the case of this one, we're dealing with very minor grades in the case of 0 to about 2%. Planning process that could be used to determine the use of the land. The town would be in the position to partner with a consultant, possibly an organization like Cornell's Design Connect program, which some of you may be familiar with. They've done other work in the town, particularly related to the Jacksonville Community Park. And they're a group that provides free services in order to directly engage with the public and develop designs and facilities that meet community needs. There's been a lot of conversation about what the community needs. They're known within our own managed recreation program. We know that there are needs for baseball diamonds, there are needs for soccer and football multi-use fields, and for a playground. Many people don't realize there's not a free public playground accessible before 3 o'clock about 10 months of the year in Ulysses. During the course of the last or in the referendum, I heard from many residents who are not necessarily playing recreational softball that walking trails would be appreciated also. The public, including area property owners and residents, would be able to participate in a public process for planning and engagement. And because this would, if it is accepted, the donation would be owned by the town board would ultimately vote and have to approve all development plans and follow the normal review process as required by law. Next slide, please. Cost to develop land, right? It all comes down to the money in a lot of cases. Something that is in place now is the Three Falls LDC. The town of Ulysses is one of the 3 founding members. It's an established 501c3. Because they are an established 501c3, it seems like a logical vehicle to be a Friends of organization. Nonprofits have the ability to fundraise. I can't go and, I can't take my hat off and pass it around this room and ask you to pitch in money. I'm not allowed to do that. Through the Three Falls LDC, though, when I'm working there or anybody else is working through them, we can do that, right? That's actually its express purpose is to be able to accept charitable donations, to be able to work with the people and entities who may want to support this initiative. And then those funds could actually be transferred to the town in order to pay for development costs. And an advisory committee could also support the town on developing design recommendations. Ultimately, though, as I said before, these decisions will have to be approved by the town board. The town itself will be eligible, could be eligible to apply for planning development funds for parks that are only open to government entities. So these public-private partnerships in other communities have been very successful in finding outside money to make development goals a reality. Next slide, please. And then lighting. There's understandably concern about lighting with any type of recreational activity, and it is the express desire for the donors that they're not interested in having stadium lights that, for activities to be happening at 10 o'clock at night. The intention on the fields is that there would be lighting for safety, but that as necessary, but that the activities for outside of their soccer, or baseball, that it would be a dawn to dusk type of environment where lighting is not adversely impacting the natural environment nor the humans who occupy space around it. Next slide, please. Carrying costs on the property. I've investigated what it might cost the town in order to carry it. And when I say carrying costs, I mean, what is it going to cost to carry the property when we're not using any? There's no development on it. While the land is vacant for our insurance purposes, our existing insurance policy already covers land owned by the town. We actually have a number of, not very large, but a number of undeveloped parcels in the town of Ulysses that are owned by the town. And this piece of land could be just absorbed under that existing policy. Once the land becomes if it became a park open to the public, it would be an additional $1,000 per year. That's within our policy. That's the addition of a park. Now, if you increase the usage, the types of usage on it, there will be insurance will always want to be more robust for that. But just simply as a public park with public access, it would be $1,000 a year. For water, there is no cost to the town if there is not until a water hookup is installed. Water costs are set annually and paid by all users in Water District 3. And if there is no tap hooked up, there is no cost for water associated with the vacant land. And I'm glad that Scott is still here. Scott put some of the numbers together that you're going to be seeing in the next couple of slides. While the land would be vacant, and not in public use, Scott estimates that it would need to be mowed 1 to 3 times per year, and that's going to cost us between $250 and $350 per time. Once developed, mowing and facility maintenance can be performed by the town's Department of Public Works. There is some, and as you can see on the survey map, there is where the proposed drive, flag pole of the flag lot. You'll see a little notation about a septic filter. And obviously, for anybody who is on a septic system, it's not good to drive over your septic leach field with any regularity. And so something that would have to be addressed before any development could happen on the property would be the relocation of that leach field. Scott and I attended a call with the Tompkins County Whole Health to see if this was even doable. If it could be moved in such a way that conformed to health regulations. And the Tompkins County was wonderful, very helpful, and they said, they could walk us through the whole process. There's a permit that we'd have to apply for. Permit's about $300, but that this is something that is fairly simple to do, and kind of walked Scott through the things that would need to happen in terms of how much gravel and things like that. And as a result of that, Scott has put together an estimate of about $4,100 to complete the leach field relocation. That wouldn't happen until after the donation was accepted, if accepted by the town. So a potential timeline for consideration. Today is February 11th. Tonight is the public presentation of this. If the board is interested in exploring this further, I do have a resolution that could authorize the preparation for the initial environmental review documents for seeker. That's enables seeker is the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And this is a required activity. Going through an environmental assessment is required for the town board to take any action on something like this. And so we could authorize preparing that initial environmental investigation. If we do that, moving forward to the next meeting, our next regularly scheduled meeting on February 25th, the town at that point could declare itself lead agency for purposes of conducting seeker, and proceed then with pushing that information out into the public and gathering feedback from stakeholders. And then there would be, if that happened at the second meeting in February, that would give time in March and April for the town's Board of Zoning Appeals, the town's planning board, and other interested agencies to weigh in on environmental considerations and that initial environmental impact form that the town would prepare. This would also be an opportunity for the public to begin weighing in during town board meetings, as well as at planning and Board of Zoning Appeals meetings on their feedback. Next slide, please. Potentially, that means in those phases that it would come back to the town board in either April or May. And that's when the town would do its formal environmental assessment review and hold a public hearing. And at this point, we have also received feedback from the planning board and BZA and other stakeholders regarding environmental considerations. At that point is when the town board could consider whether or not to actually proceed with a donation agreement acceptance. If the town board gets to the point of accepting the donation, like many real estate transactions, things have to be, it can be on the basis of subdivision approval. This is not an individual existing parcel, which means that any acceptance of a donation agreement would have to be conditional upon subdivision proceeding and going through. We can't, the town is not in a capacity to accept a parcel of land that's not an independent tax parcel. And that would need to go before both the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Board for subdivision approval. The reason it would need to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals is that there is to create a flag lot. Under current zoning, there's a need for 50 feet of frontage and there is 38 feet of frontage available. So that would be the amount difference needed for a variance. The other parcel would be being subdivided from would maintain its zoning conformity. And so the only variance necessary would be for the flagpole of the flag lot. If the town accepts this, would you mind going to the next one? Thanks. If the town chooses to accept this very generous donation, it could do a lot of things. It could create the first publicly owned and managed recreational park in the town of Ulysses history. It could address a documented need in the 2009 Town of Ulysses comprehensive plan. It could provide an accessible outdoor facility for Ulysses residents of all ages. It could contribute to a healthier environment. It can help alleviate overcrowding and field deterioration at the Trumansburg Central School District, whose fields are funded by the taxpayers. And it could serve as a sizable investment in the future for generations to come. So I'm sure the board may have questions. I would, Marvin and Allison are present in the room and have indicated to me that if the board has questions, they are amenable to answering them. But I would also like to take a moment to pass out a statement that, and I do have copies for the public as well, a statement that they prepared to explain their intention in making the donation offer. Thank you. The board I mentioned. This is Dr. Oh, okay. So I just threw a lot of information at you.
First, to the princess, thank you. I know it's not a done deal and we've got a while to go when there's gonna be a lot of decisions still to be made, but. I think just the thought that you guys put into writing this and approaching the town It's. I mean, for lack of a better term, so I really appreciate your generosity. I think it'll not only help youth, I think it'll help adults and all generations. So that the folks of the town can go to a place where they can go for free and be outdoors and walk and get together and congregate and play games or just sit and relax and enjoy the sun, whatever. it may be. With Taganic being a paid park and the Ultimate Barton is also gonna be a paid park ultimately. It'll be a good opportunity for our town and to get together without paying a lot of money. Cause those fees, park fees are not cheap. No, so, thank you. I guess. Your question?
Any board questions?
Do you have any deed restrictions besides the lighting?
They're amplified sound. And we were talking about, the intention was not to have buildings, restrooms, but like not a stadium or, you know, big rec hall or something like that.
So, we do have a draft donation agreement, that can be presented, but before we went too far down the road, I wanted to take the necessary steps to present to the public, and to, take the next step on environmental. One of the restrictions is, and it's an important restriction, is this is a donation for recreational purposes. So this is not for just giving the town land and the town gets to figure out what it's gonna do, and it's not gonna be, Scott, you don't get any new salt facilities there. And one of the conditions will be that if the town ever decides to stop using it for recreational purposes, it returns to the donor.
Yeah, that's a deed restriction.
Yeah, yeah, so this is, their intention is to donate it for recreational purposes. And so it provided that we're using it for recreational purposes, or intending to use it for recreational purposes. It's a gift to the town, but it's not a gift, it's not an open-ended gift to the town to sell off for housing.
You have that part worked out about it when we're long gone. That, say it falls into disrepair somehow, that your estate somehow gets
Refer to our state.
So nothing has been worked out in the sense that there is a draft that can be presented to the town board. But that won't, and I can bring it to the next town board meeting if the town is interested in going farther along in it. But the first step is to express any interest. And if the town is interested in proceeding further, the next step is the environmental, and then to start triggering the environmental process. And then the public and the board will have time to review a donation agreement. So nothing is finalized, nothing is worked out yet. Nothing's been signed, nothing's approved. Nobody's empowered to do that until authorized by the town board.
So going to the west is Acuna and Sherman here. Are you?
There.
Yeah, we're here.
Mark.
Okay, and then the lot to your west, are those, it looks like it's vacant, are those folks here?
Vega. They live in New Jersey.
They're to the west of their.
They're both on this call as well. Beth
So
and
you're,
Mark.
what are your thoughts on this?
My personal thoughts.
Yes.
We have a lot, but I guess the biggest disappointment is that we were just surprised by this, and we had to hear about it, through the grapevine. So I'd like to kind of get my thoughts together and come back to you on that. The biggest concern is the road that goes down through it and the property line.
it's like 20 foot off the garage and it opens it up to 3 open sides and no cover or anything, just there's, you know, I'm being, I got a question I'm gonna ask you first, and then I'm gonna probably get out of here. I just came to listen. Ultimately,
Excuse me, what property is
This
yours,
is
sir?
Mark Sherman.
pardon me,
What property is yours?
This is Mark Sherman.
this is 5250, the driveway's like anywhere from
Okay.
10 to 20 foot from
Okay, all right, thank you.
from
Go
Sharp.
ahead.
My question is, will the town, can you, I may have missed something, okay, I'm not sharp on this. Does the town decide, the board decides to accept this donation, or is there a physical vote to the public? Because it's a donation, I just curious.
So this is not subject to permissive referendum. So we are not legally allowed to send it out to the vote of the public. This will be a vote up or down by the town board. It's not a purchase. Purchases are subject to permissive referendum, but donation acceptances for these purposes are not.
It's a long ways away, I know, like I say, I respectfully say, the princes, I've tried to meet you since moved in. It's something you're doing, but this is kind of incorrect because it's not in your backyard, you know what I mean? So it's a wonderful thing, but you're really impacting your neighbors heavy. That's all I'm saying. It's a great thing, but this is not correct. So,
A question for you, sir?
pardon me?
And on this survey, it just shows the garage. Is there a house on it?
Yes.
But there absolutely is.
Oh, it doesn't show it. Good.
There absolutely
But there
is.
is a house.
Okay,
So,
all right.
no, I just came to listen, and forgive me, I don't speak well and just wanted to ask a couple questions. I didn't know if it came to a vote or if the powers here just decided that, yeah, we're gonna take it and continue forward.
No, I appreciate that. For purposes of your comment, is this your home address?
My boys live there and I take care of everything there. Okay, my boys live there and they vacation there, and you know. Whatever.
Yeah, and as the homeowner, me, Alex here, nice to meet you. You know, I appreciate the donation. I appreciate the effort and the thought there, but you know, the presentation you guys put forth is not apples to apples. The comparison to the last deal you guys were going to do, they're not even similar. You're taking viable farmland and you're rezoning it to recreation. So you're taking, you know, stuff like off the thing to repurpose for a few baseball fields for a very small population of people that will not really get to benefit from it for people who do not have children. The other issue I have with this is that it's in a densely located neighborhood. You're going to have vehicles. What's the population, the max capacity of what this park is going to hold?
It is one of the most condensed bunch of houses and driveways and whatever. I'm just saying there's more to it than just the piece of land. I welcome you to all visit it if you haven't. And everybody wants something, but you really don't want it right next to your house. And if you could see how close it was and the foot traffic and buses and vehicles, it's something to consider the neighbors a little bit somehow. That's all. I just,
So
like I say, forgive me for the way I speak, but.
So there's gonna be a lot of time for public comment and public
Okay,
hearing.
I just,
I know, and I do appreciate it, but I do want to make sure we move on. I do want to correct the record, though. The other parcel, when the town was attempting to purchase a different piece of land, it was also an active agricultural use. It's not a piece of land. And interestingly enough, the public feedback on opposition to that location was because it was too far from residential areas. It was too far from the village. It was too far from the density of the town. So when we have to consider that in this situation, those are also feedback that we've received previously that at least I know will be taking into consideration. So
I think the other.
I'm sorry, we do need to move on. This is not a public hearing type. There is public comment coming at the end of the meeting. I do want to be respectful. And there will be, every board meeting has multiple public comment periods.
Well, they did ask what we thought. That's why. So I was just letting you know.
No, I appreciate that. I just know that we could probably sit here for several more hours. And there are other items still on the town board agenda. Are there any town board members who have additional thoughts or comments on this particular item? Okay, I do have a resolution before the town board. A resolution expressing interest in accepting a property donation. Again, this is expressing interest. This is not accepting the property, and authorizing environmental review of the same. This would direct the town board to conduct or would direct me and the town planner to prepare a full environmental assessment form concerning this action and present a draft of the same at the next town board meeting.
Second.
Oh, I'm moving it. Sounds great. I will move that. Michael, you're seconding it. Any further discussion?
So my comment, I would actually prefer to table this because the resolution was not posted prior to the meeting. So I would like to give the public an opportunity to put this out there and weigh in on it. Because I think if this is a good idea today, it will still be a good idea in 2 weeks. And in light of what happened with the last parcel, I would like to make sure that we don't, incite the public and give other people an opportunity to speak on this. So that's where I stand on this right now, is I prefer to table it for 2 weeks.
Okay, so there's a motion. I'm making a motion to approve this resolution. You seconded it, but it sounds like you don't want to second it. It sounds like you want to
Well, I
withdraw
second
your
your
second.
proposal so I could discuss it.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a vote on that. We're not taking a vote on the tabling. There's a motion on the table.
Okay.
So are you continuing with the motion on the table or are you withdrawing your second?
No, I can move it, but I don't have to
Okay.
vote for it.
That's fine. So I will call for a vote if there's no further comment.
I just, the only thing about, I think this officially will open up the record so that we can get feedback.
Yeah.
So I see this as a first step of multiple to be able to get public comment, public feedback, input on this whole concept from the donation to the environmental impact. So just saying that.
Okay,
Yeah, I would agree with, I mean, this is gonna open up the conversation.
well, and if we have a draft environmental assessment, excuse me, it's gonna actually provide a lot more substantive information to start a question, start exploring environmental issues associated with it, which I assume will be of great interest to the public. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. Any further comment? The board? Okay, all those in favor? Aye, opposed?
Opposed with the stipulation that I would prefer to see this wait for 2 weeks.
Noted, motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, the Pritz, for being here. These can be hard rooms to be in sometimes, so I appreciate your willingness to do it. And thank you for those who are very respectfully disagreeing, sharing their opinions that way also. I appreciate that as well. Civility is the bedrock of democracy, even though it's very difficult sometimes. Okay, moving on. The other item that I thought was of
May I interrupt real quick? I just want to say thank you, and I hope I didn't come across wrong. I appreciate
not at all.
this.
Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. You're always welcome also. Everybody is.
Appreciate it. Harvey?
Okay. Is the board amenable to moving on to item A under 8 new business? The rezone application for Development District 3. Yep. Okay. So, well. Welcome. You came on a very interesting night. I understand you have a presentation. Would you like to come up and join us up here?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna bring the podium up over. So if you're over here, then everybody can hear you on the recording.
Byron.
Well.
Everyone, I know many of you in this room, but for those who I don't know, my name's Chad Little. I'm a local builder and recently the new owner of 212 Tacanic Road. Moved here about 15 years ago. In addition to being, owning a local business, I am the varsity football coach in high school. Also coach varsity wrestling, and modified wrestling, because I'm crazy in terms of that sort of thing. And, also a baseball coach, serve on the Trumansburg Travel Baseball, board as a commissioner, and, I started the Little Blue Raider youth football program here, and have run that up until when I turned it over to the Weatherby a couple years ago. Continued that tradition, and the community has benefited a lot. I only bring all that background up because I feel like I'm uniquely suited, given that, to take on this project. I'm also one of Amy's Christy Carnes, who's on my team. She's been coordinating with Niels, zoning officer here in County Ulysses for a while now, and has put together the material that you guys are looking at. I do not have an online version, so I apologize to you folks that are online. We do have a couple extra copies, so just gonna share amongst ourselves out there. You'll see an overview of the property on the first 2 pages. Most of you are probably pretty familiar with it. So I'll just dive into what we want to do, and that's outlined on the 3rd page, which is our vision. Continuing to rezone the property, hence the rezone application. I'd like to accommodate single-family housing on the Halseyville road side of the property, which is something that's in high demand. Our community has very low home inventory right now. I build homes frequently, and we had just started a to-be-built home, and within 30 minutes of it being posted on the MLS, I had 2 calls for people who had told me that they're trying to move to Trumansburg for a long time and just not able to find the right fit. So I think our community is a big draw, and I feel like this property is the front door to our community. I think that we can improve upon it, which is one of the reasons I was inspired to purchase it. In addition to the residential side, we'd like to rezone the Route 96 side to an eventual indoor sports facility, which may be a very nice complement to Wolf Springs if that's to come to fruition. If they don't want indoor facilities there, which I completely understand. But this will provide an outlet for our youth and adults in circumstances of bad weather, or just non-ideal times after dusk to dawn hours. So you can see on the right-hand side of that page what the rezone proposal looks like. The right portion in purple would be what we'd like to change zoning from DD3 to commercial. Right now, it's the entire lot is zone DD3, which limits us to the trailers that are on it and a bar restaurant, and that's pretty much all that we can do. I hate to make you guys flip around, but I do think it makes sense to go to page 6 to talk about the current state of the property. Like I mentioned, I look at this as kind of the front door to Trumansburg. The community has supported me through some hardships in my life, and I feel like I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So coming into town, I'd like to see something a little bit more in character of that. And so, you drive in and you see an abandoned bar restaurant business that has been in disrepair for a long time. The floor of the inside actually fallen in. There's a piano in the basement. It's crazy in there. It's like a haunted house. The following page, you can see some of the trailers that are on the property. A lot of debris, in my opinion, is unsafe and needs to be removed. So, like I said, when I built the house, we spent a lot of time on the front elevation, and the entry is the first thing you see when you come into town. And I mentioned a couple of times, I think we can do much better. So we already have permits in and paid for and issued to demolish the old Bar Angus restaurant and the trailers that are on there. Once we are back to our land, this. That will be an improvement in and of itself, but the property has a ton of potential, in my opinion. I can get you to flip back to page 4. Okay.
I think they get that.
So the zoning map shows some orange, and that is residential nearby, it is north of the DD3 lot. So our intention would be to continue that orange down to the south and again, take over kind of left-hand side of that pink development district. And the right side would remain commercial, but expanded beyond bar and restaurant. So again, I'm sorry, we're flipping around, but
Is Flowtech part of the same property?
No,
Flowtech,
it's
no.
Okay.
TV. You can't read that, but I think that's something.
So I can get you to go to page 9. Well, your presentation is going
We're
over.
getting our recreational activity.
Exactly. Exactly, right, right. You can see kind of our development plan. One, I already mentioned to remove what's there. 2 would be the single family homes on the Halseyville side, and that is intended to fund not only serve a need and a purpose, but to also fund the recreation facility, which will go behind them. And that would kind of be phase 3. And when we do this, the intention is not only for my business, but also there's a lot of local tradesmen and contractors that would benefit from this. I try to keep as much as I can dedicated to Shermansburg and keeping people employed and thriving and able to support them, their families, and their kids who need sports equipment. It's very expensive for me and everybody else. So benefits to the community, revitalization of the property. I'm on page 10 now. Clearly, we need to improve that space. We're increasing the available housing in the area. I mentioned the need for that. And we have new recreational activities. We've long been traveling to dancing and other areas for an indoor sports facility. And I think that something like that in our front yard would be welcome. And that process, not only of developing these houses and the sports building will provide a lot of employment, but after the fact, there's a lot of folks that will be working there, running the facility, benefiting from its creation. I want to leave a lot of time for you guys to have questions. I'm sure there are several. That is the baseline of what I wanted to say. Opening up to you all for this.
So in your proposal, I guess, Matt. The yellow.
Yeah, we got a little sloppy do, which we just realized now. So yellow is actually being changed to R residential. And
So the reverse.
there were, unfortunately, there were sorry about that.
Yeah. And then development district says that these trailers should be removed.
The trailers will be removed, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that in the application here.
No,
It does not mention that in the.
how do you do it?
Well, those are being done before the zoning, those don't need to be demolished as
It
part of the
was
zoning.
kept the zoning.
The permit has already been issued and you'll advise us to limit this discussion to the rezone and
Well, part of the rezone is what the language of the development district has. So that stuff needs to be undone when the development district is undone.
sure. I'm happy to add it to the rezones there.
So is this one removed also?
Everything.
The one on Halseyville?
There'll be no structures left before we start. Along with all the debris around the trails.
I know there's some environmental features on the property between wetlands and then there's the sensitive area, the protected area to the south. Are those proposed to be left as is?
We're not, anticipating changing any of those. I know there's, the creek, we stay, far away from that, I think. We're 100 feet, but we don't intend to encroach on any of the protected areas to the south or along the creek, which is, the border of the property. Which you can see on the bottom of, page 3. Where that map is, laid out.
Yep. We had, it must have been, what, maybe a year and a half ago, there was another potential owner, before you purchased, potential owner who came before the town board to explore options. And just and I heard, and I never heard directly, so it could be hearsay. So take it for what it's worth.
Sure.
They ran into concerns about the DOT right of way.
Mhm.
And so I just wondered how that was factored into yours.
So the DOT right of way is, typically 30-ish feet. One in the 40s had sent out a DOT representative and they decided to give nearly 50 feet to this property for whatever reason. The previous owner who wanted to open a barbecue facility or restaurant, what have you, would have had to move his facility back. The land is fairly level with Route 96 and then it drops off substantially. So him moving his building back made it not financially viable for him to continue down that path. So with that in mind, I spoke with the previous owner of the lot and we came to an agreed upon price.
So that issue is not.
That
Should
issue's
not
not,
inhibit
no.
you
So-
from doing what you want.
Technically, the parking lot that is there right now can't be improved upon because it's in the right of way. And it, which is unfortunate, but we don't intend to add anything to that parking lot. Our parking area will be further from 96 beyond the 50. It's actually like 46 feet. It's the maximum number.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yep.
It's never good when you get, a ways down a development plan and
Sure.
run into those kinds of unexpected.
So would you have more detail that you're gonna submit to the planning board?
Yes, when we get to that phase.
Yeah, because this is just for us to kick it over.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had sent several versions to Niels, Christine and myself and Niels worked together. Several meetings and emails back and forth and in the end, we agreed upon this version of the application, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to amend it.
Because this is what I'm nervous about, because there's like kind of a really wide overview and really broad brush, and I'm like, I was leery of moving it on because there's so much I didn't see what they were demolition, which is what I'm.
Yeah.
Keen to me,
Yeah, that's
and then with the map being reversed. So I would like to see this. Yeah.
Other board questions? So the way this process works, and I think every town board member here remembers this from previous, is that when we receive an application for the consideration of a rezoning, it first comes to us, bless you, and then we pass it along to the planning board for their consideration and input. Zoning changes ultimately it's local law, and so those ultimately come back to the town board, but we have a process for doing it. So tonight, much the same way on the last item, it's not a yes or a no, it's simply a pushing it out to the next phase of review and public consideration as well. Does anybody else have any other questions for Mr. Doolittle before we consider the resolution? Okay, so this resolution recognizes, I will move this, whereas the town of Ulysses has received an application for the consideration of rezoning of Development District 3, and whereas zoning changes are under the purview of the town board, and whereas the town board determined that the application deserved further consideration and values the input and consideration of the request by the planning board. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ulysses Town Board requests that the planning board reviews the application for the rezoning of Development District 3 and provides the town board with their opinion.
Move it.
That sounds great too. You can second it. I already moved it,
No,
but.
okay.
Any further discussion?
The question is this dissolution of Development District 3?
So this could be a dissolution. The rezoning as proposed would be to rezone the parcel under existing zoning designations within the zone. So it could actually result in the dissolution of the zone of the
Yeah, I
district.
was just wondering if that's a formality first.
No, it happens all simultaneously, essentially. It's the changing it to anything else, either within the development district itself. Or
Good.
breaking apart and turning into zones. It all happens at the same time, essentially.
Okay.
One replaces the other. The law, we appeal something and replace it with something else effectively. But we could result in no longer having a development district 3 at the end. Which I know has been a dream of yours.
Absolutely.
See, maybe dreams do come true.
Yeah.
You want.
So, okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further comment before we vote? Then I will call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Please continue your journey with meals.
We will.
Thank you. Okay, now we have going back to our agenda. Let's go back to all the pieces of paper I have. We have a variety of items. I'd like to go back to local law 1-2025. This is the local law referring to and changing the exemptions. We've had a public hearing. Scott, you're free to leave at any point if you need to go. You're looking like you're getting a little anxious. So feel free to step out as needed. Does everybody have their resolutions? This one? Yeah, prepared by Nate. Town attorney, local law on this.
I've got.
Nice, God. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Keep the rain away and ice tomorrow, please. But not with too much salt. Okay. Did anybody have any thoughts, concerns, or changes in their opinion on local law and exemption?
Still too low.
It is too low, but we can't do any better. This is the best we can do. And this will go for the public, if adopted, this would go into effect for 2026.
Yep.
Yeah, because you already got your tax bill from us for 2025.
Do I need a second?
I will move it. If you'd like to second, that'd be great.
Second.
Any further discussion on approving local law number 1 of 2025? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Given the hour, the next item of business is our parking lot project update. I have a long written update. The long and the short of it is we can bump this till the next meeting if that's okay with everybody. So thank you.
Basically, it's on.
It's on track
It's on
to
track,
be,
thank
is weather pending, and I do have some more information I want to talk to you about in terms of the programming of the space. But that's not time sensitive for tonight. The contractor's goal is to get in April, provided it's basically weather contingent. And then they'll be done within a couple of weeks. So.
That fast.
Yeah, well, the requirement, there's set, and I don't remember off the top of my head, there are set requirements of how quickly it cannot linger the entire summer. There are time limits within the contract. If Puxatawny Phil was wrong and spring does come, they would like to move it in April. Okay, so the next item up is it's a replay of the organizational meeting. It's reappointing an alternate to the planning board. So at the organizational meeting on January 9th, we appointed Simon Bernard to serve as an alternate. He was an alternate last year as well. And he didn't quite get sworn in time before the January 31st cutoff. So we needed to reappoint him. And so he will get signed in the sworn in time. So I'd like to move the resolution appointing him to serve as an alternate on the town's planning board with a term ending December 31st, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
I,
Next up is approval to fly the women's suffrage and pride flags in 2025 per the flag policy. We reauthorized our flag policy at the organizational meeting. We have a flag policy. These flags the resolution gives me approval to fly them or to put them up for 30 days. The suffrage, women's suffrage flag would fly in March and the pride flag in June for the requirement for the town's flag policy. Any questions?
if
And
it's
it's
in
just
our policy, why is
confirm,
it?
like, we've done this before.
Yes, we have done this before. It's in our policy, but actually our policy does require me to bring them to you every year. If you'd
Oh.
like to change that policy and just say we're going to fly them, we can do that. But the current policy is that I have to bring them to you. So
Okay,
that's-
maybe
We've done it for
someday we
years.
won't want to
that's right. That's exactly it.
fly the women's
Or the
suffrage.
Change. No, I'm good.
Well, I will move this. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
Motion carries. No, we're not doing that one. I pulled that out of the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed
sorry.
that. Sorry.
Sorry, you just missed that part. You were here very quickly though. We did the donation update. Now we are down to new business item 8B, letter of support for INHS. Well, that is let's ignore that. That was a typo. I didn't catch them. I put the agenda together. This is a letter of support for INHS. They're doing an application for 2 freestanding affordable housing, affordable single-family homes up in the Compass. Their Compass manufactured home community. They're applying for funding to build 2 affordable homes and asked us for a letter of support. So the resolution authorizes me to submit a letter of support on behalf of INHS to for sale affordable housing units.
Second.
Thank you. I moved that. Michael seconded that. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And that brings us to the minutes. Well,
No, soil and water.
oh, thank you. See, you catch me every time, Mary. I even had it written down there. You missed this one, Liz. 2025 Tompkins County Soil and Water Contract. This has been reviewed by legal counsel. This is the contract we sign every year. If you'd like to see a copy of it. I have it right here. It says the rates. The rate is $57 per hour if we need provision of services. And it would terminate December 31st of 2025. I will, and this is a verbal resolution. Resolved that the Ulysses Town Board authorizes the town supervisor to sign the 2025 Tompkins County Soil and Water Contract.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions on it? I think $57 an hour for professional services is white as steel. So, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for that catch, Mary. Upcoming events, the next town board meeting is going to be the 25th of February, followed by March 11th. Then that does bring us to the minutes. We have minutes from the date, I forget the date, what was the date? The 28th was a regular meeting. Did anybody have any changes or alterations they needed to them? I didn't.
No.
Then I will move to accept the minutes from January 28th, 2025 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't even ask for comment, everybody's seconding that.
Can I ask one question? For the visioning session, were there minutes from that? Okay,
Yeah, we approved those on January.
did we do that?
whatever,
Yes, we need to make sure.
14th.
That came up at the comp plan meeting last week, so I'll bring those next week, next meeting.
Yep. Okay. Do
Thank you
you
for
remember what date we approved those? Cause I do remember doing that.
It would have been the
First
20th.
meeting, well, the meeting was on the 8th and then.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Original
12th.
meeting.
Yeah, cause you did those, you turned those
Right.
around
Right.
really fast. Yeah.
All right, I'll bring those.
Yeah, great.
Oh, steering committee.
Okay, no board notifications. Budget modifications were presented in the board packet. They look substantial, but they're not really. This is wrapping up, the 2024 budget modification, so. So,
Number 11 chairs. Anything of significant?
no. The A fund, it's a lot of, so a variety of year-end budget adjustments are necessary after accrual of accounts payable at December 31st, 2024. Most are minor, with many of the personnel lines adjusted due to rounding variances with payroll or hourly personnel working slightly more hours than planned. The largest variance, central communications, is largely due to increase in postage costs. Town hall and highway barn contractual overages are due to higher than anticipated costs of building maintenance. The amount remaining in the general fund contingency is adequate to cover these adjustments. That's in the A fund. It's Blixie says it best, so that's why I read the stuff. The B fund budget modifications are the relocation of legal costs among B fund legal expense categories. And the relocation of salary budget among lines within the same department as needed to cover rounding and actual allocation of time between activities. That's in the B fund also. And then also in the B fund, there are modifications to reflect additional expenditures and associated state aid for comprehensive plan activity in 2024. This is a factor of timing related to work completion for a multi-year project. Any questions about those? On the back page, Water District 1 budget modifications, those reflect an increased activity in Water District 1 for the year. Same for Water District 2, increased activity of Water District 2. So basically there were more water purchases and more water sales. So those balance each other out. And then Water District 3, there was to reflect the modifications reflect additional costs and administrative support and water purchases. Contingency available is more than adequate to cover minor overages. In addition, a budget reclassification is needed to reflect the account currently used for Bolton Point services. So any questions?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll move resolved that the Ulysses Town Board approves the 2024 budget modifications as presented.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Payment of audited claims. Priscilla, you left us a. You ready for this? This is our. Claims were reviewed. Any questions or concerns?
no,
The resolution is resolved that the Ulysses Town Board has reviewed and approved payment of claims for A through SW fund vouchers 30 through 97 in the amount of $885,344.66. And HA fund voucher number 7 in the amount of $12,507.51. I will move that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
That was the ambulance and the fire contract.
yeah,
which is
that
why it
was
so
a
hard.
lot of
That
it.
was 40% of our budget, right there.
Oh, I was gonna mention something. There was a voucher in there for CPR classes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was at a Rotary meeting when Joel Fay was there, and he was saying that they do free CPR classes for people who request them.
Well, that's good to know. This,
We will get something back.
Okay.
for-
Nice, so we can do that. This is a multi-hour class that and it's, 2 staff members are taking it, one of youth services. But that's good to know. I didn't know that, so thank you for
Yeah.
passing that on. That actually really good staff training exercise.
And the, also the AED thing,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
they train on that too.
Well, we need one of those in order to be trained
Oh,
on it.
well,
So that is a long time goal of mine to get. Haven't got there yet though. Okay, well, there is a motion on the table on the payment of the claims. There's been I moved it, it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we are back full circle to privilege of the floor. I imagine there are people who wish to speak, so give me just a second to get my timer going. As I said before, any member of the public is welcome to speak for up to 3 minutes. We'll go back and forth in person and online. Is there anybody in person who wishes to address the town board? Decidedly wrong. Roxanne, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Interesting meeting tonight. Anyway, one of the other things I heard a lot, when people came and spoke a lot, for the prior potential land development for recreation was that the town doesn't have a recreation plan, and they, just like a scope of a plan for what they want and what they need, and that it would be, a good thing to do, and we're doing a comp plan update, and so perhaps it should be included in there, because otherwise everything is just kind of piecemeal put in there, and it would be a better justification for why they're needed. I'm not saying they're not needed, but it's stronger to have planning documents when you put into work. So I would like to encourage us to work on that, perhaps with a, a special committee to get, this might use that if, the land donation goes through anyway, but, there were a lot of people in the town that are very interested in this topic, so. I think it would be good, and it would help with public mind and generally the recreation planning, which is really important. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Well, that was well under your time. Okay, anybody online who wishes to address the town board?
Or I guess the rest of the other folks dropped off. Yeah, I think I kind of expressed this earlier, but I think it would require a little bit more information. I know that you don't have this information now, but in that deck you presented, it would be helpful to understand, the true cost and scope of what this project is going to look like outside of the carrying costs, right? And then that, that trail, it sounds like a great idea, but that's, everything sounds like a great idea on paper, but none of this is cemented. And to get it, presented this way is like, yeah, we can do all these things if they line up properly, but there's no guarantee that all of this is going to happen, that we're going to be able to raise funds for this and do all this stuff. So I think the taxpayers or the people in the town deserve to understand how much this is truly going to cost and what the true long-term benefit of this is. Sports parks, I get it. Everyone has kids that play sports, but there's plenty of other places that they can play. It doesn't require to take over farmland in a residential neighborhood to create, a soccer field with lights and with bathrooms and access for emergency vehicles. And what's the capacity of all this? I'd like to, just remind, that there's a bunch of neighbors there that definitely don't want this. You saw how many people were on the call and in person today. And I think it's because, obviously this felt like something that was done behind people's backs. It wasn't done in a way that felt transparent. I was on the call last time and, the survey was done, but when would that, so it just doesn't really feel above board. I mean, of course it's above board, but it doesn't feel, there's no recourse, right? Like this is going to go to a vote. This is a direction that the town board has, and this is what you guys are going to do. So I'm just trying to figure out how many neighbors it's going to take for us to get on board to say, no, we don't really want this in our backyard.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody in person who wishes to address the town board? Okay, is there anybody else online who wishes? Oh, I'm sorry.
First, just an appreciation, thank you for all that you guys do, put a lot of work in for our town. I would say in speaking of, in terms of creating more recreational spaces for the kids in our town, I think we could use more space. I think it's, so I'm glad we're at least exploring it, so that we know, the options. We spend a lot of time with youth sports and looking for places for students to play. There's often overlap with the different sports, so I think it isn't, I think there is a need and a want in the community for more viable spaces to recreate.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Okay, anybody else in the room who wishes to address the town board?
I'd like to second that, just the idea of the need for space and the amount of time that we spend looking for fields almost on a yearly basis. Played in swamplands on the field, at the school. The fields are getting, pretty beat up, pretty rough. So we like to second that identification that there's a definite need for space. And our program seems to be just growing every year. Constantly battling for space. Fields kind of breathe and develop is important as well. So just killing fields.
Thank you. Did I see another? Did you have a hand up? Please go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't call on you quickly enough.
I would like to say, like, as a student who is currently in the high school right now and is involved in 3 sports, the need for space is certainly important. And I definitely agree with what other people are saying here. In a sense, like from a student perspective, it's certainly an issue that we do care about and we would like more space perhaps to do more of this stuff. Like I'm involved in track and, you do stuff on track, but you also can do field events and other things that require more space in ways people aren't aware of. I also run cross country too, the need for trails, like documented cut across trails for people to be able to run on and be able to have that access. So like I definitely feel like the students would greatly appreciate that. And like I can say from the perspective of like a teenager, it's definitely would be great.
Thank you. For the record, would you mind sharing your name with us?
Nina Stockford.
Thank you very much. And were there any last comments online before I go back or before we close out public comment? Okay, is anybody else in the room who wish to make public comment?
What?
That's the recreation plan idea, like, if we have documentation of all of this, that everybody that's agreed upon is laid out there, then I think it might be, easier for the public to get behind individual opportunities when they come up and see how they fit in overall. So I mean, I'm not saying we should take years on it. I think it could probably be done in concert with other things we're working on pretty quickly, but I think it would really be valuable.
Thank you again.
I was gonna say that I thought when the other purchase was being considered, I thought that Will Glennon's explanation of the difficulty in finding space for recreation programs, I thought it was pretty convincing and pretty well thought out.
Well, Will is due to come back, I think in March. He normally comes biannually to give an update. But he's gonna be coming back. Sounds like within a timeline of conversation, so I'm sure he can speak to it. I will say from that perspective, I know it's actually getting harder to get space because we have new programs growing, not just the town of Ulysses growing programs, but the community growing programs. There's softball that's happening. There's indoor track. There's another program. Wrestling has taken over all the space. Lots of soccer.
Like football.
Yep. Yeah.
Like for
Pickleball.
Pickleball.
there's only one sport.
But Mary, thank you for bringing that up. I will make sure Will's in to be able to contribute to this conversation as well. You're absolutely right.
I mean, there was the presentation of the youth commission that might be good to share to talk about the needs.
The Clyde survey?
No, not the Clyde survey. We don't need to go through that. Although it's
But
actually
actually-
something that probably should be shared somehow.
I don't remember which one it is, but you'll remind me and we can bring it in. So. Okay, thank you. It's, and if there are other things the board would like to, other people or other, because there has been a lot of our work that has been done. So to speak to some of these needs. Please let me know if they come up, then let me know what the survey is, because it vaguely sounds familiar, but I can't remember the name of it.
We just went through it.
Oh, the needs assessment?
Yes.
Oh, the needs, yeah, there was a 2022 needs assessment where facilities were coming up. It was 2022.
Yes, there's the needs. And the.
Yeah.
It's scary.
That's what it was. Yep. Okay, well, it is 9 o'clock. We have gone through public comment. Rich is not here to do it. But
Motion to adjourn.
there.
I'm sleeping.
Thank you very much.